Joining us now is Dr. Kenneth Pomeranz, who is the president of AHA. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Terrific. What are your priorities for this 2014 meeting?
I think the biggest thing is I want people to come away reminded of how much exciting stuff is going on in the field and how broad the field is. That, yes, if you're a Renaissance historian, you can go to Renaissance studies and everybody there will understand your specialty, but that there's something thrilling about walking into a panel on something you haven't thought about since college or maybe never, and finding out, wow, they can do that with a 1,000-year-old piece of silk? You can DNA test it and find out that. Or you can, these people don't have parish records, but they've got this, and look at the cool things they can do with that. And that, I think, is the way we come back re-energized and with new questions to ask about our own specialty.
There have got to be some big themes for this meeting and even for the year ahead. What are some of those?
Well, on the one hand, I think there's the stuff that's ongoing and will be for a long time. There's adjusting to what digitalization means, both positively and negatively. And part of that's the excitement. Wow, so you can now word search this source and find every time they mentioned X. Think what you can now say with some certainty that before we could only guess. On the other hand, there are all the problems that this implies for journals that need to keep their publication subscriber base going, et cetera, et cetera. There's also the ongoing issues related to the job market. But I think the biggest thing is reminding ourselves and others of all the different ways in which history needs to remain a vital part of public conversations. That the stuff that you just don't understand if you don't think about it as a set of processes over time.
And technology is a big part of that.
Certainly, technology is a big part of that. And remembering that, yeah, a given technology has certain imperatives, but it also only comes into use because people decide to use it this way and decide not to use it that way.
You spoke about the job market, and when we talked to you last year, you said that there were some challenges facing the field, that lots of people teaching history that weren't tenured perhaps, and that overall that these were things that need to be addressed by the field. What are your feelings about it, and you think, what's the status of that?
Well, we are moving forward. We have a new committee on the status of non-tenure track faculty. And on that status, not just as a question of their employment conditions, though of course that's very important, but about what this does and doesn't mean for the way history gets taught. And this is going to be very field specific, right? So our colleagues in the Modern Language Association are dealing with this too, of course, but many of their members teach introductory language courses. That's a whole different set of possibilities and constraints from what you have in a history classroom. And we need to be thinking about how we communicate the sorts of things that people need in order to be effective instructors, the sorts of stability that students need, so that when, as a senior, they want to find the person who they got an A from as a freshman for a letter of recommendation, they need to be able to track that person down. That person needs office space. There are some very basic things that are in flux at a lot of institutions, and that's something we have to monitor and work on and figure out, to try to figure out which are the essential things that have to be protected, which are the things on which flexibility is possible, and that's going to be a sort of rolling issue for years to come, I think.
And you need those people, the non-tenured ones.
Right. Every institution is different, right? There are going to be some institutions that barely use them. There are going to be some institutions that are 75% them. And again, I want to emphasize, some of those people are fabulous teachers, but they work under different conditions, and we need to think about what that implies.
It sounds like you're making progress on that issue.
Yeah, we are making progress. Those are rough seas.
All right, well, it sounds like it may be a terrific conference.
I hope so.
Terrific. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you.